program to spotlight on local artists, presented to you by Charlotte County Libraries and History. This month we're very fortunate to have a Ukrainian needlework exhibit here at the library, and we are going to tour that with one of the key members of the Ukrainian American Club here in Charlotte County. Please introduce yourself with your lovely name.
I'm Katherine Steciuk.
And this is our first panel that we're going to be visiting, and it is unique to a certain area in the Ukraine, which Katherine is going to describe to us.
This panel is a panel of embroideries and needlework from the Poltava region of Ukraine, which is in eastern Ukraine. It's an area of Ukraine that has the most fertile land in the world. It is a sea of wheat fields, sunflower fields, and flowers, and the blue of the sky and the yellow of the wheat are the colors of the Ukrainian flag. And it's a very special region in our hearts. And it's called Poltava. The colors are usually, in Poltava, they're known for their very soft, pale hues of light blues, light grays on white linen fabrics. And you could see that they have maybe different light, pale shadings, but they're still very light. And they're also known for their cutwork embroideries. Cutwork is where the embroideries are stitched and the threads are pulled to create an open pattern, a little hole, which lets the air through, and it's just very light and airy. And then each hole is bound by stitching. It's a very delicate embroidery process, and it is in eastern Ukraine. And these embroideries Ukrainian embroideries in general date back to pre-Christian times, and they used different techniques. Like I said, these do a lot of cut work, and they're very gentle designs. Some of these are white on white, and those are the colors. And the motifs are they have different symbols, which we call motifs. This one has squares. This one has squares, and squares symbolize earth, perfection, and harmony, which is endemic and exemplifies the region that it's from.
Would you tell us a little, we were speaking of this one earlier. This one has a specific function.
Yes.
If you could mention that.
This one is a ritual cloth, where these are square, and they could be found on pillows, doilies around the house, tablecloths. This is a ritual cloth. It's rectangular in its shape, and it's longer, and it serves the function of during a special occasion as greetings. It's given at baptisms to the child. It's used at weddings. It's used in our religious rituals, holding icons, and it's used in major life events which are very, very special.
Thank you. Good descriptions. As we move through the exhibit, you're going to see how diverse this country really is. Each region has its own set of colors and traditions that they infuse into their needlework. So come with us as we walk through. Here we are at our beautiful second panel, and as you can see right away, there is a total contrast in color from the first panel that we just looked at. We have traded pale, beautiful, delicate colors for these very vibrant color schemes in here, the oranges, the reds, the greens. This region is from the southwestern mountainous part of Ukraine, and we're going to hear much more about those right now.
As we've said, we've moved into the Hutsul region of Ukraine, which the Hutsuls are very vibrant, lively people, and they love music, they love dancing, and they are just very, very vibrant, which you'll see in their embroidery. Now, they use more geometric patterns with these bright colors, and you can almost envision them living in the forest, in the woods, in the mountains, and that's where they get their inspiration for the colors. And their motifs are diamonds and like I said, geometric designs, which for them symbolized fertility, sown fields, and triangles that symbolize the primary elements of fire, water, and air.
Beautiful, thank you. A very vibrant people,
Well,
but you're not from this region.
No,
yours
I'm
is
not.
coming up. On our third panel, we are moving into the western region of the Ukraine. A slight difference in color in these panels here. I'm seeing more red and orange, and I've been told that there is some pretty ancient stitching in these exhibits. Please tell us.
Welcome to Halachina in western Ukraine. Again, the colors are vibrant. However, here we have, while in the previous panel we had mostly cross-stitched. Now, cross-stitching, there are about 100 or more different stitching patterns in Ukrainian embroidery. However, I'm only going to talk about a few of them.
Okay.
These panels are a flat stitch, which is done in a flat way. Actually, the niz is the oldest type of stitch that we know of in Ukrainian embroidery. Cross-stitching came about later. One of the characteristics of this type of flat stitch, which it enables us to almost see and capture movement as we look at these embroideries. So cross-stitching came in later, and that enabled more of the geometric designs that were used.
And you had said to me earlier that these exhibits portray movement. There
Yes.
is a lot of motion in them. I hope that comes across in the film, because looking at it here we are on the angle, and there is an almost three-dimensional aspect to
Yes,
these.
because movement is enabled to be seen in this type of a flat stitch. And again, because it is a greener type, it's more forested area in the western Ukraine, then you have more of these also, again, you have the vibrant colors, the oranges, the green, and like I said before, they come from nature. And because these stitch techniques are so old, we wonder, well, where did they get the colors? They could not run to their local Walmart or whatever store and just buy the colors. They actually had to use the colors that they found in nature. They used plants, barks of trees. They used whatever they had in nature to make the colors that they used.
Good point. Thank you. Very interesting. So just in case you're not able to see on the film the movement in these beautiful panels, you need to come down to Mid-County Library and see the exhibit for yourself. It's well worth it.
Actually, I would like to add that you can really appreciate the work and the stitching if you see them here in person close up, as opposed to a picture or a video. Not that I'm against a video, which is wonderful. However, the true beauty of these exquisite embroideries is when you see them close up and
Exactly
personal.
right. Good. On our fourth and final panel, we've moved into the northwest region of the Ukraine, characterized by these beautiful reds, blacks, and white color. And this is a region near and dear to your heart, of course. Explain.
Well, actually, it's the other one.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think all of these embroideries are near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
But this one is from the Polisia region, and it's in the northwest of Ukraine. And it also uses the niz. It also uses the very, very ancient niz stitch, which is flat. However, this pattern, because of the isolation of the people and the climate is colder, they use a more dense, they use threads that are a little more dense than the other ones that we saw from Halichina. And basically they use the chevrons, which you can see, and they're pointing up, and that is a symbol for femininity.
Oh,
I just thought
lovely.
I would mention that.
No, good.
And the downward ones are symbolic of masculinity.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You hadn't told me that earlier. That's new information.
And primarily their work was red, black, and white.
And please tell us about this
Well, now
one.
we come to the one that is near and dear to my heart and very sentimental, because this is from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. And why is it near and dear to my heart? Because this is the pattern I had for my wedding. Usually girls pick out a pattern that they will use for their wedding, and it's embroidered on their ritual cloths, and it's embroidered on the cloths that will hold the icons in church, and on the cloth where the priest binds our hands as we take our first steps as man and wife. And this is the pattern that I chose from, where my family is from.
And you still use it somewhat, don't you?
I
in
do.
Your life.
Yeah,
yes.
I do.
And of course, you're wearing those colors today in your beautiful top. Is that actually from Ukraine, or is it in this style?
This is from Ukraine. It's very old, and I don't wear it too often because I don't want the materials to fray.
It's
very
quite
delicate.
lovely.
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. We have much more to come here. We're going to have a needlework demonstration, and so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay. So we have pretty much moved through all of the regions, from the pale, delicate blues, the reds, the mountain colors, and here we are with a cross stitch from Transcarpathia, very vivid periwinkle blues. Tell us about this one.
Well, this one has the floral design in the periwinkle, and it resembles the periwinkle flowers that grow in that area. Actually, periwinkle flowers grow in a lot of the western Ukraine, and they're just beautiful, vibrant flowers that they see in nature, and that is the inspiration for this type of embroidery. And the technique is the cross stitch, and there's also open work, needlework in here. Between the flowers, you'll see, and between the cross stitch, again, you have open work, and it's just the air, light and airy and beautiful flower. You could just envision the flowers growing.
It is so cheerful.
Yes,
and
it is.
It just makes your heart feel good.
Yes, yes, it is.
Really lovely. Any symbolism at all in these outer areas as far as fertility, or?
No, this one basically is the focus is the flowers.
Okay, lovely. Really nice piece. Thank you so much for the tour.
Oh, it was my pleasure. My pleasure.
And the exhibit is here at Mid-County on Forest Nelson Boulevard through the end of March 31st. So check our website for library hours of operation and do come by and see them.
As an added feature and a very special feature, we have Katherine Steciuk from the Ukrainian American Club, and she is a master embroiderer. She is going to demonstrate a piece of embroidery that she's working on now, and it's in the brown tones, and it's the design actually comes from the Trypillian culture, which dates back to at least 2000 BC. The Trypillian people were an ancient culture, and although they're not with us today, we have found during excavations pieces of their pottery, and they were basically brown, and sometimes they used burgundy. Pottery was made in those colors and those motifs. And they were basically motifs that are winding dances, and they depict the road of life and eternal life. After the pottery was found and it was duplicated in pottery, it was also duplicated by embroideries like our master embroiderer, Katherine. As a matter of fact, as she is embroidering this, I would like you to take a look at her blouse, which is exquisite, and she's used the Trypillian design in her shirt with cut work on her sleeve. And also, if you could look at her necklace, which is called a girdan, it's actually beaded, and it is also uses the Trypillian design.
I'm using cross stitching, and
Okay.
This will be a pillow. This will be a pillow. And I don't have I'm just making it because I like the pattern. And as I make it, then I decide who I'm going to give it to. But I'm embroidering many things for my children and for my grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren, and each one of them is getting some of my embroidery as gifts and mementos, like my mom left some for me. So I'm following her in her footsteps, leaving some mementos for my children. And this is something that I really like to do in my spare time. Embroidering, I find very peaceful and very satisfying doing this embroidery. Been embroidering ever since I was about 7 years old. I learned embroidery from my mom and my older sister. And I'm trying to keep the tradition. I have many, many embroideries in my house. And
So in that way, with embroiderers like Katherine continuing to embroider, and it keeps our traditional embroidery alive from generation to generation. Since it's existed for so many years, we hope that we can all appreciate the diversity of the Ukrainian people, not only in their culture and their traditions, but also because in Ukraine, the different regions, embroiderers from different regions have different patterns, but they're all rooted in their traditions and their culture and their customs. And that makes a beautiful tapestry, which is Ukraine.